In my other lecture, I introduced some theoretical background of making decisions in the design process. I ended with the intriguing question how to add up values when evaluating design alternatives for a list of different criteria with different skills and different importance. There exist many methods to evaluate alternatives in design. In general, we distinguish between quantitative methods and qualitative methods. Quantitative methods can be very helpful at stages later on in a design process, and they can be used to rank alternatives and do not only tell you which alternative is best, but also how much better. A score for the effectiveness of each criterion is given using the same scale for each criterion. Also, the weight of each criterion is determined. And quantitative methods, as you can see, leads to matrices full of numbers, and the decision maker is often seduced to choose the highest score immediately without consideration. In other words, the decision maker relies on numerical values and tends to forget that all methods, quantitative and qualitative, are resources, aids to decide. They are not mathematical formulas in which you simply input the data to get the answer. Now back to our example. We will focus on one of the qualitative methods, the Harris profiles. This method ranks alternatives on an ordinal scale and tells you for each criterion which is better. An ordinal scale is ranking things, not necessarily numbers. It offers a way to add up all values without pitfalls as they appear with other qualitative methods. A Harris profile has 4 scale positions for each criterion, coded -2, -1, +1 and +2. The 4-point scale can be interpreted differently for each criterion. The scores are not numerically added. A +2 for one criterion does not compensate for a -2 for another criterion. And for each alternative, a profile is constructed, and in our example, this leads to 3 profiles. You can see them over here. Adding up all values now is done by the decision maker based on the overview this method offers, the 3 profiles. To help deciding, the most important criteria can be put at the top. And the overview that is now offered with the Harris profile method is visual, and the designers can interpret this. They mentally draw a line through the center of each profile and see weight at the right and weight at the left. At the right is positive and at the left is negative. What designers do actually is constructing a mental decision by alternately looking at the 3 profiles. Apparently, it is possible to visually construct a ranking and decide. More than with other methods, intuition is involved. Now look at these profiles yourself. It is easy to acknowledge that alternative 2 seems to be the worst alternative. Please experience how you can add up, compare and decide. When install time and aesthetics are more important than the other criteria, alternative 3 is the best alternative. On the other hand, alternative 1 can be chosen as the best when you believe that cleaning and holding of our product are the most important criteria. Nevertheless, we have to give some warnings using this Harris profiles. First of all, you might think to introduce a 5th score, 0, in the middle. My students do this very often, and I have to warn them that this should be avoided because there is no straight center anymore. It creates confusion and encourages to stay in the middle with your scoring during the evaluation of the alternatives. A second commonly made mistake is only to fill +2 square when the score is +2. And visually, this is the same score as +1. So if you want to score +2, you have to fill in both +1 and +2 squares. It isn't more helpful to score red for the negative scores and green for the positive. Just keep it black and white. Another commonly made mistake is to separate the profiles on different pages or glue the profiles together. So put them on one page only and prevent that they touch each other. Keep space between the profiles. And one last comment for the Harris profiles is that it is advisable to norm the scores in some sort of standard, some sort of yardstick. For example, for durability, you could say 5 years is +2, 4 to 5 years +1, 3 to 4 years is -1, and 2 years or less is -2. Good luck with this, and I hope you will succeed. Thank you.